Hello again. This is Cutlex coming at you with another match from our standard blind ban tournament. I have my round 3 match against Gameslayer here, as unfortunately I forgot to record my second round, which is really unfortunate as it was slightly interesting in the fact that my opponent chose to ban not Nautilid, and as such, there were some really unholy things that the face of evil got up to in that match. But I digress. For this match, I have our teams pulled up here. My team, once again, is the Occult Mass Mystify team, and my opponent is running a Might Dragons Charge amalgamation with a lot of really cool monsters. And in particular, Drakazul, which has been haunting me. Um, this team is pretty strong. It has a lot of potential for quick wipes, so it's going to be exciting in this match as our teams are both going to be built to blast each other ASAP. It's going to be Haymaker responding with Haymakers. So I really expect in that vein that he's going to ban Nautilid. Nautilid gives me a lot of explosive power and it gives me resilience. So removing it is really a no-brainer. Now, I could be pleasantly surprised here. He could remove Fungi or I don't know, one of my sweepers. I don't really know why he would in this matchup, but it is a possibility. I'm thinking about a 95% chance he's going to ban Nautilid. And when I look at his team, I see a bunch of mons that are reasonable to ban. Like if you're scared of goat, which you, I mean, would reasonably be so, as goat is extremely strong. I went over in my last video why goat is not particularly strong against occult mass mystify, so I'm not too worried about it. He has Nautilid, which once again is really scary. He has Kami, who just comes in and blasts things, and if you give him time, he becomes extremely strong. You have Thanatos, which just comes in and gets a few buffs and wipes your whole team. There's Drakazul, in my opinion, one of the best supports in the game, coming in, pushing one button, and giving the whole team three or four barrier. And you have Yukon and Koi, and as much as I hate to say it, Ninki Naka, who are amazing support pieces for all of these monsters. Blade Widow, I think, is a utility piece, probably for anticipating a lot of dodge. Like, Blade Widow is really good at coming in, pressing a very strong leaf slash, and then dying, which in a tournament with 9 ascendants, there's a lot of value there. Against me, I'm not really expecting that. But once again, digress, trying not to go into a full breakdown here, but I'm expecting him to, or I normally the conservative ban here is Nautilid, but I ban Thanatos because it's a quick sweeper, the quickest sweeper on his team. And if I get rid of that, I will have an easier time racing him. I don't really care about his resilience too much with Nautilid and Drakazul. I should be able to break those mons when I need to on the early turns. But I mean, you never know. That's the calculation that I make. And then we'll look at the bans. And yes, he banned Nautilid, I banned Thanatos, and we're gonna go and see how that goes for us. All right, so we've got dragons, we've got Nautilid, we've got Kami, and we've got Koi. So this doesn't really change a whole lot of my strategy, which is to bring my monsters in. My opponent gets to go first, so I'm probably going to lead with Rainbow Blob. And the question is whether I want Fungi to die on turn 1 or whether I want to bring him in. And I decide that I want Fungi for my response because I think that he is going to kill Mad Eye with one of his magic moves. Nautilid gets a nice buff in. It's okay, not a super good roll. About a third of the shield and a decent number of buffs on things. And now we're waiting to see. Okay, so instead of Mad Eye, my opponent has decided to break the Phoenix Affinity on my Rainbow Blob and put a bunch of shield and barrier on his team. This, I'm thinking right now, is pretty bad. Now there's a bunch of shield and there's a bunch of barrier in order to get a wipe here with two monsters that aren't weak to any magic attacks. We're gonna have to roll really well, and we don't. This is sort of a regular roll in my experience with Mad Eye, but it's okay. We've got Grummy, and Grummy goes off. We get 27 on Grummy, so thanks, Grummy. You stepped up when Mad Eye didn't quite get there. And now we're looking at this Cataclysm. I'm going to lose Face of Evil here, so he's going to push Cataclysm. And we get a bad miss on Nanka, but those debuffs, I can tell now that this Nanka is a non-crit Nanka because that burn hit him real hard. So Nanka is going to be not in good shape because I knew that Koi isn't a healer because it's a neutral shift, so it's Gray Pearl. So I knew now we know that this Nanka shouldn't get any healing other than its regen, but it has some regen perks. So, but anyway, we're hoping that we can get our monsters back to swing back to take down one of those dragons because Nanka should go down to residual damage. It's just a question of how many mons we're going to get back because second turn there, he took a kill with Nanka after a big ult on Zol because of his psychic support. It gave 18 combo. Because of that, the next two dragons both were able to take a kill. So we bring in Fungi, and we bring in Troll. I want to bring in Mad Lord because I love swinging back with a giant Cataclysm, but all of these monsters have problems with physical attacks, and Troll does only physical attacks. So let's go. We're going to play the Fungi Lottery for the first time in this match. And we're going to target the most important mon on the field here, this Drakazul. And we get a sort of below average hit there. 14 really is like the low, like the bottom 20 or 30% in my experience with Fungi. But, you know, it's going to be tough to get AoE kills now unless we can get Grummy to stand up. Or Grulu to stand up, my mistake. I'm just checking the relative difference between the AoE ult and the regular AoE for Troll in case I want to use Ion Beam. And you're going to see me do that a lot in this match. Grulu usually does AoE ults, or AoE attacks, but the ultimate, that Ion Beam, is a single target, and as you saw on Drakazul, it just rips buffs apart and gets a bunch of combo, and with all of that, we had a nice round of punches there with Troll to take down two of the opponent's monsters. So now we're sitting here, we're hoping that the enemy team can't get enough juice to wipe us in response, but Kami's really strong. I just don't know if he can do this coming in fresh off the bench to get a full team wipe. Because I feel like even if it's just one Mon plus Mad Lord, I might be able to punch us down into 2v2, but it just doesn't happen. That AoE physical fire ult on Kami does so much damage, and so much of my team is weak to it. So we go ahead and we throw the FU ult on him, make him kill me, and we're gonna go on to the next round. And I'm gonna get to go first, and we're gonna have some changes here on the lead. So I think I swapped Mad Eye back to a bow here because we're going full offense. Mad Eye might die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. If we get him back on the next turn, he'll get another attack, which will hopefully build a bunch more combo up. But on turn 1, Mad Eye's just sitting there to help me spread armor break. This is the max roll team for turn 1 attacks, because you're going to use Leaf Slash on Fungi and hopefully hit Armor Break, which will have a 40% chance to spread, along with a 35% chance to spread from Fungi himself. The Mad Eye will have the 40% spread, and Troll has the skill that makes it more likely to add debuffs to monsters when they have Armor Break. So we got a nice roll on Fungi, and it was enough to do tremendous damage on turn 1 to this enemy team. So now we're looking to see what kind of damage. He's got the Kami in, and so the Kami's probably going to do a big ult. But the problem we're running into here is that Kami does only physical damage unless you're using Shield Burst, which isn't an AoE. So Nautilid isn't really helping with a bunch of those buffs. So the Gameslayer decides to do a big Fire Breath AoE. And I think I must have gotten lucky on those rolls, because only one monster goes down. And now it's my turn. And we've got Troll, we've got Fungi, and we've got Grulu. And this is just a nightmare lineup to be across from. Now, Kami is sitting there with full shield, so we're going to go ahead and get things started by breaking that protect, and we get once again a sort of a lower end roll with Fungi. But that's okay, because Grulu is waiting in the wings, and we've seen already Grulu stepped up once for a big hit on the slot machine. So if we get an average or above average roll, oh, and we're not even going to do an AoE, it looks like I've decided that we need to worry more about turn 2 Kami. And so we're going to do the ult on Kami. And we're going to strip a bunch of buffs, and look at all that armor break. We've removed all the shield, and we have set Kami up that Kami has a full kill from an AoE physical ult, or an AoE physical non-ult. That's how much that armor break made the difference there, because Kami resists all physical damage, and we just AoE'd him to death with physical damage. But we're still not out of the woods here. We saw last turn that Dracomer used its ult, so it's ultless, but this Koi might have some tricks up its sleeve. In my experience, Koi doesn't do a whole lot of damage on turn 1, but I think you can build it to do a lot of early damage. And yeah, that Spectre Wave hits real hard. Once again, I got a little bounce, and Fungi didn't go down. But now we have to be careful here, because that Koi is looking pretty strong. We should be able to kill Nautilid this turn just from debuffs. But we need to make sure that Koi is getting some weakness on it. So if it survives, it's not going to be able to wipe me. And if it spreads some other debuffs to the rest of the other mons, it's going to make my AoE stronger. So Grulu has no ult, so we're going to do an AoE, and pitches in for a pretty nice 20-hit combo. And we throw the ultimate in. We knock Koi down. Koi has a bunch of extra debuffs on him, so I was pretty sure that Koi was going to go down, and Dracomer can't do it on his own. So now we're going second again on the draw in Magic the Gathering parlance, and I brought in Azarac again, because I am convinced that Azarac is really good going second. And on this team, I haven't seen that yet, but I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing, because I've seen Azarac involved with a lot of these occult teams, and I can't quite figure it out. So in the 2 minutes here between matches, I did forget that Nautilid had Age of Purification, which really takes the wind out of Azarac's sails by getting rid of one stack of blind. And once again, my opponent knocks out the Phoenix Affinity on Face of Evil, as well as having minimum of 3 barrier on all of his monsters. So we get things started with Bungie, no surprise there, about an average hit, hitting 18. I'm looking at my Lava Rush to see if I'm going to be able to take down this Drakazul. And I'm thinking, okay, if we get some decent combo here, we get 1 or 2 of those barriers, we're going to be in business. Come on, Azarac. Azarac gets 0 of the barriers, only gets 8 combo, and my non-crit Rainbow Blob is not getting a very good preview on that Drakazul. Now, if I had hit all of my attacks there, there's a chance that I could have killed the Drakazul, but that was really not looking good. I, at this point, have immediately recognized that bringing Azarac is a mistake. It's not going to do enough combo. Without much bleed on this team, it's not going to add that many debuffs. And my opponent, if I can't take out that Drakazul, I can't effectively remove enough debuffs to get things going. We see now a very strong ultimate from Ninki Nanka. I think it's the same ultimate that Draco Mur has. So now we've seen that there's at least 3 monsters on this team with AoE fire ultimates. A beautiful adaptation by Gameslayer. And on my side, we're trying to get things going. We're trying to we got a decent combo. 16-17 is about the midline average for Grulu. And we're thinking we need to remove some of these buffs and get some more combo. We got 10 combo with the ultimate there, and it's just not enough. I wanted to have a big attack there, so we'll settle for the dual kill. Except wait, 2 of the debuffs that deal damage got dispelled by the advanced regeneration from Ninki Nanka, so Zul just dances on the precipice of death and survives another round, getting more buffs and undoing my entire turn. So we lost 2 monsters last round. I didn't even kill a single monster. Things are looking really bad now because Nanka and Drakazul are pretty much going to be killing at will with all the buffs that they have. I'm thinking at this point my chance to win this game is about, I don't know, in fractions of a single %. But as my last video showed, you never give up. You're down to your last 3 mons. Miracles can happen. So we're going to go ahead and get things started with Azarac. We got 9 hits. We're going to get the combo building option here with Troll. Got 14 hits, and that's a terrible preview with Cataclysm, but we're going to fire the Cataclysm. And we kill nobody. So this game is over, and I'm trying to figure out what my plan is here for the next game. I don't think that I need to make too many adaptations. I think I just go back to the literal exact same team I had for game 2 when I was going first. It's just a question of whether I want to try to encourage or discourage his attack patterns by swapping around bows and large shields on my supports, or whether I want to adjust Rainbow Blob to remove or to try to lean into or out of physical damage. But really, I don't think there were too many changes that I made. We lead the same armor break, crit fishing, like what's the words for like the combo fishing line here, where we hope we get an armor break to spray armor break everywhere. And we get a bunch without armor break, and there's some armor break. Oh man, look at it go! 38 hits on turn 1. It's not the most that Fungi can do, but this is like a 90 85, 90% percentile attack here on Fungi. That's a beautiful attack. It's enough that we're just gonna kill Targoat and Drakazul on turn 1. Now, we got the weakness so that Koi is not in great shape, but if we hadn't gotten the weakness, that Koi would be on the verge of death, which makes things a lot easier from my perspective because then you can just sort of lean on AoE and residual damage to kill things, and you can look more at using single targets to take things out. But really, we're waiting for... Wait, what was this? Mythic is an ultimate. I think my opponent made a mistake here where he meant to use dexterity and instead he used the ultimate on Koi, and now his Kami can't do his AoE big ult, and he settles for having to use a single target on Troll. At least I think that was a mistake my opponent made, which, you know, it happens. It's a big break for me because that ult has been my bane in this match. So now we get a murderer's row here, where we have my Mad Eye once again putting in a not great performance, trying to get that armor break on because armor break increases the odds of adding more debuffs. And it pays off here because Fungi, once again, it's a really nice set of combo. And we just throw the Cataclysm. It's like not like we're not going to throw the Cataclysm, and the Cataclysm gets the full team wipe. And that's it. Nanka's not going to carry that on his own. So now I make a specific adaptation here where I know he's going to lead with his Drakazul because he's done it for most of his games in this match. And so I want to bait him into not attacking with the Drakazul. So I'm going to send Fungi and Troll out with Mad Eye. And Mad Eye has a shield. So it should be unlikely that he's going to want to attack Mad Eye. He's going to have to pick whether he wants to kill Troll or Fungi. And to do so, he has to use a fire move, which means he can't attack with Drakazul. Which means that my opponent shouldn't have just a complete assload of barrier on turn 1. And we're going to see here whether my my bait is working. I'm thinking it's working right now because it's taking a long time for my opponent to choose what he wants to do. Like, and he still very much, it is a decent move to use Drakazul to attack Mad Eye, but he doesn't. He goes for the fiery shots, which doesn't, it's a physical attack, so it doesn't get the boost from Nautilid, so it just barely misses the kill, and I don't even have to sacrifice Fungi for this. And Fungi is immediately in revenge mode and gets a 30 hit. And I'm looking with Troll now to see whether I need to use the ultimate to get these kills. And I'm pretty sure that Flurry of Blows is going to get there. Drakazul is my main target here. So if we're looking good for the non-ult, we're going to throw a Cataclysm with our support to get even more combo. We're going to see if maybe we can get a full team wipe through Nautilid's physical immunity, or physical resistance. And we get a pretty nice Cataclysm here, 23 hits. And we ship it. We get both dragons, and so close to getting the full team wipe. Now we are looking at my opponent. I'm thinking that he's going to throw a big Koi attack at me. Or maybe, I feel like Dracomer, with the mons that are out right now, I don't think Dracomer can get enough buffs to have a lethal ultimate. But, maybe. So Koi buffs. And I'm like, Nautilid is not going to attack, so Nautilid is going to do some sort of buff here. The standard miracle buff from Nautilid. And so now we've got the ultimate. And just barely Troll survives. With its tribal regenerating 10% of its health at the beginning of the turn. It survives with that burn that it's weak to, and it's here to party for another turn. So we get a Mad Eye, and Mad Eye performs extremely well by my standards. It gets 17 hits. And we're looking to see what we want to do here. Because we know, I'm looking right here and I see that Nautilid has 4 regen on it. So I'm thinking maybe it's not a guarantee that it's going to go down. So instead of using Ion Beam, we throw this Solar Burst out with Grulu. And we're going to just use Poison Eater on Dracomir to get him out of there. So we're up 5-2, but we're really not out of the woods yet. This Kami has a very strong ult. And we know from the previous fights that even with 1 weakness stack, this Koi does a ton of damage with its AoE. So depending on what my opponent does here, we could get fully wiped. And if we do, we'll have 2 DPS squared off against his, and I'm not sure if we have the advantage there. So we're really hoping that this long time that it's taking is in our favor. And we've got 14 hit combo, real decent combo with that ultimate, and just barely our monsters survived that. The occult control paying off from Mad Eye, just barely keeping my monsters alive. And so I'm thinking we've got to deal with this Kami. It's got a bunch of charge on it, and it probably has a single AoE attack that is going to wipe me out. So we're going to use Ion Beam on it, strip some buffs, and hopefully it will put enough... Uh-oh, it did not put that much armor break on Kami. So look at that awful preview with Poison Eater. So now I'm trying to decide whether I want to audible over to Koi, because if my opponent gets another turn, that Koi Spectral Wave is very strong. So we just ship it with the Poison Eater, and the debuffs just barely get there. And Koi puts up a valiant effort, but it cannot bring down Mad Eye. And with another Poison Eater and the follow-up from Mad Eye, we take down this match. Very close match. I got a good amount of luck on my side. My team really performed when I needed them to. Fungi and Grulu were rolling well in critical conditions. And my opponent making what I think were accidental mistakes, maybe not even intentional mistakes. Maybe they just clicked the wrong thing at one point. Was a pivotal moment in one of the games, and it may have been the difference in this match, because this match was very close. Don't let the number of mons fool you. Like that last game was basically down to the wire. So I think Gameslayer came into this match with a plan, and he did his best to execute it. But we went to the casino, and Fungi and Grulu are kings of the casino, and it paid off for me in this match. I have a feeling that it's not always going to work out that way, and I think that that's something that makes this team fairly frustrating to play as and against, because if it sucks having to pass over to your opponent while they have a Fungi on the field, but sometimes you just can't kill Fungi. Anyway, this was a fun match. Thank you, Gameslayer, for the match. I wish you luck with the rest of your tournament. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again for round 4. Cheers.